Picking up where we left off in the last session about different levels of user engagement, the products or the examples of the products that are being developed, what are the monetization models? What are the ad formats that are going to start to make sense? And it's really going to be a moving target as we see different forms of user engagement evolve, different products being served, and all of this third-party innovation that we talked about earlier. So we have a great panel of individuals here that each represent different companies that are tackling this from a different angle, and they're working with different ad formats. So we're going to talk about some of the metrics that they are seeing. And what I'm going to do first is, thank you. Oh, yeah. What I'm going to do first is ask these guys to introduce themselves, and a few minutes on what you're all doing, and then we'll kind of go right into questions.
Matt, no one knows what you're doing.
Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Craig Agopian. I'm the president with vEnable. vEnable is, I think everybody talks about local intent. Well, we're 100% local intent. What we do is basically build an engine that's two parts. One is a aggregated feed of local advertisers, both click and call and reveal, from all the brands that everybody probably appreciates in the room here. Yellow Pages, Super Pages, Marchex, City Search, Ingenio, and we try to bring what we call best in class, best in breed of advertising. Second part of our equation is that we bring what we call local search organics, and we marry those two together in a feed that either we do an end-to-end solution or we actually partner with people and use our APIs to extend the service.
Before you go, Nick, I want to make an announcement. Lee Jenke, I don't know if you're out there, if you could come up to the stage. Is that him right there? Yeah, sorry, I can't see anything. You can just filter up here, and go ahead, Nick.
Cheers, thanks, Mike. Nick G from Mobile People. What Mobile People is we are a mobile enabler for Yellow Pages publishers. So we're headquartered in Copenhagen in Denmark, which is where the company started. We've got people such as myself based in the UK, because we've got some customers in the UK. And then we've also got, we've had 2 developers out here in the US since summer last year, and we're just establishing ourselves as a US organisation here this year. So as I mentioned, we've deployed mobile local search for publishers in 12 different countries throughout Europe, down into Australia, New Zealand, South Africa just launched last week. We deploy our product set across all handsets, so WAP, Java applications for BlackBerry and also for Nokia, LG, Motorola, all the other handset variants. And we've also developed iPhone browser and iPhone applications for publishers. Our first iPhone application is going to go live very soon here in the US, and that'll be with Dex Mobile.
And that
sorry.
Go ahead, Nick.
The other half of our business is that in Denmark we run a mobile advertising network. So in Denmark, just a little bit over 80% of the mobile banners that are seen on mobile phones are served by our ad serving technology, and we have our own sales force of about 5 people that are selling that advertising, both direct to advertisers and also through media agencies. So we set that up to establish a revenue stream, but also to provide some learning on how mobile advertising works, and that feeds our product pipeline.
Thanks, Nick. And I just wanted to point out also that the Dex application that Mobile People is powering is actually announcing on Monday. So we're announcing it here to you guys for in advance of that. And I hope to get into some of the details of that product because that's really interesting. But first, Lee, please introduce yourself and where you're coming from.
Hey, so my name is Lee Jenke. I'm the Director of Partner Development with Orange Soda. Orange Soda is primarily, our core focus is on serving the small and medium-sized businesses with search marketing, and both through pay-per-click and SEO, and we also have a local profile distribution system. So we looking to get that mobile and see a lot of data via our local search products through that. So
great, and we also have Matt Booth here, who's an avid cell phone user. You guys are each working with different ad formats. Search, Lee, you're going to start to talk about how to bring search or search marketing extended into the mobile environment. Nick with listings and map-based views with directory publishers, and then Craig also working with directory publishers, but with voice and SMS and different inputs. Can you guys talk about, before we get into some of the opportunities with mobile marketing and the challenge in getting there, any of the engagement metrics that you're seeing within those formats that are notable or comparable to what we're seeing online that would underscore some of the opportunity?
Want me to start?
Go ahead,
Sure.
Craig.
Yeah. Okay. So just to give a little more background on the delivery mechanisms, I'll give you some metrics on. It's an application. It's preloaded on a couple of different carriers in the United States. I'll use Metro PCS as one of those examples. It's embedded on their phone. And the interesting thing we're finding that there's two different ripples in the industry. One is that the smartphones, everybody gravitates towards them because they're open. But there's this kind of forgotten 80% of the industry, which is a feature phone, or what we call just a clamshell or a basic phone. Because they don't have all those great luxuries and capabilities, once you get yourself in that phone, which I will tell you is not an easy feat to do, you really kind of own that customer's experience. So just to give you an idea of those metrics, today the average user who opens up our application does 6 searches per month. They open up the application 4 times a month, so every time they open it, they're doing 1.5 queries. 75% of those queries are business in nature. The other 25 are person searches. The interesting thing is I can monetize about half the business searches, and half of those result in calls to a business. So I've got this huge ability to look at every piece of that experience and be able to tell an advertiser or my partner why this is a successful product. So as the theme of this event has been, mobile is really local for us.
And we see something somewhat similar with our in-local profile is that we report back to our mom and pop, our plumbers and whatnot, our plumbers and doctors, about whether or not somebody's sent. They'll go to a profile page and they have the option of sending the address and phone number to a mobile phone via text message, and we see that as a key value proposition when we're talking to people about our profile product, and the results on that are very, very high, particularly when we see a large intent to buy. Whenever somebody sends the phone, it's typically they're in the store within a couple hours and buying something, and the ROI on that for the small medium-sized business is very, very high.
Nick?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we see the exposure to the prominence model of the publisher inside the search results, and I guess that's contributing to just kind of user exposure, and there's some sort of value to that to the advertiser, and over time that'll move to a leads-based revenue type model we expect. But also the other metric we're seeing in the very short term is to put these kind of typical media advertising models, so the banners and the sponsored links, inside that search experience, which gives a short-term kind of revenue opportunity for the publisher. So, and that's on the typical metrics of CPM, CPC.
Now, what other formats are you working with, Nick? Are you, serving the ability for advertisers to plug in either display ads or mobile coupons in addition to kind of more of a search-based list and map format?
Sure. I mean, it really comes down to kind of how aggressive the advertiser and the publisher wants to be. We have done some trials with coupons in a couple of different markets. We look forward to doing more of it, but it's I agree with one of the panelists on the previous session. It's about the advertiser being ready to kind of take that step, because the minute you start to put a coupon out there, then you need to, for example, have a way of integrating that back into your point of sale and making that completing the loop, and then you have to complete the metrics loop, and so it gets very complicated very quickly.
So, I mean, that's quality. There's a lot of quality there, quality engagement, qualified users. What about quantity? I mean, it seems like though we're projecting search volume and the growth of the mobile web, it seems like quantity is relatively low at this point in terms of search volume and these types of things. And in local, that's made even harder because you're kind of spreading this relatively low volume to begin with pretty thin when you look at all these kind of long-term searches that are fragmented by geography and by category. So there are only so many searches happening for certain things like, car dealer, Century City, things like that. There are only so many. So it's really kind of an inventory issue. What do you guys have to say about that in terms of getting beyond that in different ways? It'll, over time and volume, those things will alleviate it, but I mean, are there kind of distribution types of scenarios that you've come up with to kind of, basically build scale?
Yes, well, kind of answer that, in saying that, keep in mind it's conversion focused. So
sure.
people doing those sorts of searches, even though the volume is very, very low, tend to convert at a very, very high rate. So it's generating business, for those advertisers, just about immediately if they're adventuresome enough to take the risk and get involved in mobile. I think, the biggest part is educating, the people how this works. And, that'll of course come with time and, as the larger companies, take to adopting this.
Can we ask the question just a different way? Sorry. So AT&T has, according to the slide that David you put up a little while ago, about 8 million searches. How many do you have?
North of that,
I heard you had about 10.
10 million.
How many do you have?
Across all our publishers, I wouldn't know the number, but some individual publishers have that sort of number, and then it would aggregate out across those.
Make a guess. More than 10?
Yeah, probably 15 a month.
Okay. And how many do you have?